Welcome to another Requel podcast episode, Pitch in the Car. I'm your host, Tyler, the Requel Master. Yeah, I guess that's just a name I just came up with because why not? On this podcast, we take a property and we talk about what will we do with it. If we had the license to an IP, will we reboot it, remake it, Requel is like a sequel, reboot, what will we do? Midquels? I don't think I've pitched a midquel yet, but I know I had worked on one. I don't even know if I ever got it out. Maybe I should before it comes out. Anyways, sidetrack. Today, this is kind of a different one because of the source material. But everyone who's probably ever listened to anything that I put out knows I really do love the Universal Classic Monsters. I have a heart for those. Coming this fall, we're going to start monster season in September. The kids and I are going to do a whole deep rewatch of all the black and white monster movies in order, continuity order. So it's going to be a good time. I think I'm going to buy the big Blu-ray box set. But yeah. So without further ado, my pitch is to make a film based on Horrified, the board game. That's right. Now, if you're not familiar with this, Horrified is a board game by Ravensburger, sorry. And it is a team game where you're hunting down the Universal monsters. Now, side note, as of this recording, there are 4 versions of Horrified now. My family and I own 2 of them. There is the Universal Monsters, the American Monsters, where you hunt down Bigfoot, Mothman, Chupacabra, Ozark Howler, and the Banshee of the Badlands. We own that one. We play that one. And then there is a Greek mythology one that I'm looking at buying next, and then one that's based on like Cthulhu. My family has been playing this game since 2021 when my buddy Brian from Gravely Amusing came over with the game and we became obsessed with playing it. It's funny because when Brian and I first started playing the game, we made it a lot more complicated than what it is. I've watched my kids grow playing this game and work on things. It is a fun time. It's a fun family game of strategy and working together. But the pitch, you could kind of do this pitch for either game, right? And I'm looking at the 2 that I have that I play. I think the first one, the Universal Monster, speaks to me more, but there could be licensing rights with those. So maybe, you do the first movie, Horrified, American Monsters. And basically, with the Universal Monsters, it makes a little bit of sense because you have all the monsters in this one town. But with the American, you can have somehow all these, monsters, cryptoids have come to this one town. It could be fun because your characters are your characters, your playable characters. Kind of like in Clue, where you have Professor Plum and Mrs. Peacock and everything. You have the agent. You have the mayor, the scout, the trapsman, and the American. It pretty much writes itself that we're in this town in America, and all these creatures are there for some reason. That's the hard part. Why are they there? When most of these creatures exist in different areas. But for the Universal Monster one, there's plenty of times where the monsters come together and can be in a town. So, like I said, this can be adjusted for either or. But the idea is the town is Ravensburg, kind of named after the creators of the game. I think Ravensburg sounds better than Ravensburger. Uh, there's a big festival, kind of like your annual like festival that celebrates the monsters and everything like that. But this year, someone has brought the monsters to the town for the celebration. It's kind of in this undefined Eastern European village, and we have our main characters. There are 7 playable characters in the game. The game plays up to 5, so you could have your 7 group. Um, and There's a set of villagers. So if you're doing the Universal Monsters, of course, you want to try to get those villagers. But if you're just doing, I think, like I said, licensing wise, the American version will work probably the best. Um, the American monsters could be fun too, like with Bigfoot, Mothman. You know, West Virginia has the Mothman Festival, so you could do it where it's in West Virginia at the Mothman Festival. The real Mothman shows up, or Bigfoot shows up. I mean, Logan, Ohio has a large Bigfoot festival. So you could do this Southern Appalachian festival that all these entities come to. Um, all the characters are kind of, like I said, generic characters and sort of the villagers. So you can make uh, those really fun characters. And they're investigating, and then you have ways that you have to trap, take out the monsters. Um, Board game movies aren't the biggest thing, but they are possible. I mean, we had D&D, we've had Clue. I don't even want to talk about Battleship. So it is possible. Now, you could easily do something where the Mothman is coming through, Mothman steps on a trap, and then you show up with your means of taking out the monster. Like in the game, I don't have the game in front of me because I'm in the car, but there's certain colors and combinations that you need to take them out. It'd be very easy to do this for a film where they have to trap the monsters. They're not killing them; they're locking them like in a cage or something and trying to get them out of there and stop them. And of course, I think one of the characters is a betrayer because one of the characters is actually trying to trap them, keep them, and has means of taking them on the road, sideshow. I definitely think this is a movie that'd be fun to set it like in the 90s. I mean, there's really no particular time frame this film has to take place in. All the characters and stuff are pretty generic. Um, but I just think that the 90s doesn't get enough representation in film. As like there's kind of we've been doing a lot with like 80s throwbacks. I think 80s, 2000s. I mean, that sounds weird just coming out of my mouth. Okay, early cell phones, but um, it's always fun to like take the tech down. But you can always play around with, being in the mountains, there's no cell signal. I mean, have you driven to West Virginia? It's believable. But I always think it's just kind of fun to set it in a little bit backwards in time. And it helps with the aesthetic of the characters. The jock, the scout, the psychic. These would be all very fun characters to portray. And the more I love the Universal Monsters and I pitch movies on that, I think you could do a horrified type movie with that, but it'd have to be Universal, probably tie it into their dark universe thing. I think the way to go would be American horror monsters and legends. But then, yes, I think it would be neat if you have the agent who's supposed to be there to take these monsters out or investigate. You open with like a sighting of one of the monsters, a chupacabra, as the chupacabra eats a farmer's flock, his goats and stuff. And no one believes him as the festival's approaching, but it gets some attention, and you have this, agent show up. But really, the agent's the one that kind of sells him out in the end. You don't see it coming. I think it would be really neat and a fun game. I think fun is part of it. Like, I hate using the term like kid horror, but in that vein of like Goonies, or like it's a fun offbeat but yet somewhat kind of scary Goosebumps, where there's these monsters that are scary. And I think I go back to like my favorite Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula. That looking at that, Abbott Costello were the humor. The monsters were scary. And I think if you do something very similar where these cryptoid monsters are pretty scary, but Abbott or the team is brings the humor, kind of like Jumanji. There's another board game movie. I like the first one. The others get a little crazy, but like Jumanji, the first one's Robin Williams, rest your soul, Robin. So that's my pitch for Horrified. We'll go with, like I said, the North American monsters version. But let me know. I think it'd be a rad movie. There's not anything with Mothman that's really cool. That's not cheap. I think it would help boost the Mothman and Bigfoot festivals. There hasn't been anything great with Bigfoot. So I think this would be a way of really kind of having fun and celebrating these folklore and local legends, you know, especially because, I'm from Ohio and stuff. So there you go. Horrified. Check it out.